We're back! Did you miss us? Well, if you didn't, here's what you have missed over the last couple of weeks. Our dear friend KD Hinken has gone solo, gone rogue, if you will, posting some content. Unbeknownst to me, how the son of a gun got into the Wrestling Egos account, I did not give him permission. You know what? I blame RJ. RJ has a password. I blame RJ. So here's what's really going down, because it is Friday, July 7th, a couple of days after the anniversary of the United States of America kicking the shit out of KD's ancestors. So KD decided to run and hide this week and not be a part of tonight's festivities. No, that's not at all what happened. KD probably fell asleep. Regardless, this is going to be a very fun episode of Wrestling with Egos. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this week's infotainment. Let's go ahead and call this episode Vacation Mode On. Because as of right now, my ass is on vacation for a week. I have nothing going on in the beer world, and away messages are already in place. Emails are forwarded to my boss. Thank you, Eric. Leave me the piss alone.
Got to be a great feeling.
I am sitting in the big red cushy chair on this conversation along with my best friend in the entire world, the single smartest cat in the room, Brian. Was good, brother. How was your vacation?
My vacation was wonderful once I figured out how to MacGyver my way out of the cupboard that Katie had me locked in. Lucky for me, I found some toothpicks and some dental floss stashed in the back of the cupboard. And
Those damn English locks, man. It's like power socket, like power outlets over there. You have to get your own freaking adapter because hell, they drive on the wrong side of the damn road.
This is true. In all seriousness, though, relaxing vacation, just what the doctor ordered.
Would that be Dr. Pepper or Dr. Love?
Both. Both. It was a twin bill.
Nice.
So, but happy to be back here on the Lean Mean Wrestle Talking machine known as Wrestling with Egos, and thank you to everybody out there for supporting us, listening to the show however you do it, whether it's live in person here on YouTube or whether it's on our many streaming platforms, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, and
we used to say Anchor, but we don't say Anchor anymore because
Spotify bought them out. I think I got them all now.
Anchor is now a subsidiary of Spotify.
Yeah, those are all the major ones. So
definitely thank you guys for interacting with the show like you always do. If you're on the YouTubes, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment below. If you're checking us out on the podcast while you're driving around or just relaxing at home. But why the hell would you be relaxing and listening to my voice? If that's the case, something's definitely wrong with you. But again, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share. 5-star review.
Yes.
Help out the algorithm. We appreciate it. So tonight, we can talk about a lot of things. We could talk about how the last time you saw us, we predicted how the bloodline would end. And to quote Agent Maxwell Smart, missed it by that much. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. We won't talk about that anymore. I wish I could go back and delete that part of the show, because if there were ever predictions guaranteed to go wrong, by God, that would have been it. But what we are going to talk about tonight is Money in the Bank. And no, it's not going to be a rehash of what you just saw in England, which, by the way, was a hell of a pay-per-view.
And congratulations, by the way, to Io Sky and Damian Priest for showing out in their respective matches.
Yeah. So, but what we are going to talk about is the match itself, Money in the Bank, and the history. And I will make one statement, because as executive producer of the show, I feel like I get to make these statements, and whether or not Brian wants to agree or disagree, this could be a fun show or a rather boring show. Money in the Bank has, to use a television term, it's jumped the shark. It's done. It is stale. It needs to be retired. And I'm going to spend however long we are on this podcast, another 40 minutes, 50 minutes or so, convincing you and convincing the gentleman in the blue shirt with the Stars and Stripes eagle on it that, much like most of the time, I'm right.
That's a pretty out there statement, sir.
Well, to quote another great philosopher, stop me when I'm telling lies. So I will start with this. Money in the Bank, in its inception, was freaking brilliant. And in the first initial cash in, back in 2005, after WrestleMania 21, when Edge cashed in January of 06 against John Cena at New Year's Revolution, that set the tone because it came out of nowhere. But we really did not start seeing the out of nowhere shocking surprise cash-ins until 2007, when Edge cashed in a second time after he took it from Mr. Kennedy. Because keep in mind, Rob Van Dam mailed his cash in 06, and we got it at ECW One Night Stand when he beat Cena for the title. Since then, we have had 4 different people fail at cashing in Money in the Bank. There has yet to be a woman do it. A woman has not failed. 4 different men have. Corbin,
Sandow,
Cena, and Austin Theory. Here's the reason, and this is just the blanket statement, and I have plenty of evidence to support it afterwards, but here's the blanket statement. You can't do anything else to surprise me with this. And you can thank one person for it, and I will give you the year in just a moment when I find it. 2014. Because what, just a little shy of a year later, at WrestleMania 31, the heist of the century happened, the single greatest cash in of all time, and that is a cash in that can never be topped. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that they're not going to attempt to. I'm simply saying they can't top that one. That is as good as it's going to get. Cashing in the middle of a WrestleMania main event to turn it into a triple threat and stealing the title. Mwah. I mean, Gordon Ramsay is looking at that steak and going, my God. He's not cussing you out. He's not putting 2 loaves of bread on your head and calling you an idiot sandwich. He is praising you.
Let me ask you a question to start off this. Do you think the gimmick can be rescued with tweaks, or do you think it's just run its course and needs to be put out to pasture?
Option B. I think it's run its course. Because what else can you do? You've had the cash in of a lifetime, the blueprint of all blueprints, aka the mother of all cash-ins, the mother of dragons, Daenerys Targaryen herself. And you can't get any better than that. And since Rollins cashed in, I'm going to quickly run through shit here. Let's see. And another thing, the fact that they had both a Raw and a SmackDown Money in the Bank for the longest time was the dumbest damn thing ever. Let's see. Edge was a surprise cash in 07. Punk was a surprise in 08 and 09. Swagger was a surprise cash in. Because he wanted it at WrestleMania. Then they started doing the Money in the Bank pay-per-views. Literally in 2010, we had 3 Money in the Bank. We had the one that was at WrestleMania 26, and then we had the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and both of those were surprises. Swagger won at Mania. Kane won the SmackDown title and cashed in later that night on Mysterio. And then The Miz. And we all know what happened with The Miz. Daniel Bryan was a surprise cash-in. Alberto Del Rio was a surprise cash-in. Ziggler. Cena was not. Cena was the Raw 1000 cash-in against CM Punk. And it ended up being a DQ because of the Big Show. Sandow was a surprise that failed. Randy Orton cashed in on Daniel Bryan. Rollins, we know. Sheamus was a surprise. Dean Ambrose was a surprise. Carmella was a surprise. Corbin was and failed. Alexa Bliss was a surprise. Strowman was a surprise. Actually, no. Strowman failed as well. That's 5. Can't really count Asuka winning because she won the title because Becky was pregnant. Can't count that one at all.
See,
that's not even a cash in.
Here's where I am with all of this. I feel like we've reached the point where Money in the Bank has become
stale.
No, we've reached the point in time where the Money in the Bank has become part of what WWE is known for, a la the Royal Rumble. I don't think you would be advocating for the Royal Rumble to be done away with.
No, because the Royal Rumble still has its mystique because there's no...
Okay.
The winner of the Royal Rumble gets a shot at WrestleMania. There's no gimmick to that. There's no way to spice that up. Hell, there's really no way you need to spice that up because you are the main event of Wrestle Freaking Mania. It doesn't get much better than that. Money in the Bank is I can cash this in on you anytime that I want. I can submarine your ass, beat you half to death with this briefcase, and then hand it to the referee and essentially call my shot and guarantee that I'm going to win the title.
I would say that step 1 in fixing it is that you need to not... I don't think you really ought to be able to cash in the same night you win it. Because I think that's what's dampened the suspense. That's what made Edge's cash in so great. And I'm not saying that anything's going to beat Rollins. I will establish here now that you can't beat Rollins' cash in. But I think a lot of people that year forgot that Edge was the Money in the Bank briefcase winner until he came out after that Elimination Chamber match at New Year's Revolution where Cena lasted everybody, and Vince comes out, this night is not over yet, And that was when you first started thinking, wow, in the hands of the right person and with the patience and with the intrigue, you build up that suspense, and then that's where you pounce.
Yeah. Dude, I can literally, counting men and women, I can probably count on and not counting Rollins. Even though we saw it coming a mile away, just not that way.
Right.
I think everybody and their brother thought he's going to cash in on the winner of Lesnar and Roman. not cash in on both of them at the same time in the middle of the damn match. But I can count probably on one hand how many of those cash-ins I thought were absolutely great. Edge, the very first one, because that set the tone.
Right.
Sheamus cashing in on Roman, because remember, Roman had just won confetti. I mean, it was this big pomp and circumstance. And through all that confetti, Brogue kick, 1, 2, 3, boom.
Right.
Ambrose, because keep in mind the beauty of Dean Ambrose cashing in. 2 reasons. Number one, as soon as that pay-per-view was over, everybody that was watching it in Northeast Ohio turned the damn thing off and flipped back to Game 7 of the NBA Finals to see Cleveland beat Golden State. Just keep in mind, Golden State did blow a 3-1 lead. But the beauty of the pay-per-view, in less than a span of 5 minutes, all 3 members of the Shield held that title.
Right.
Roman had it. Rollins beat him for it. Ambrose beat Rollins. That one was beautiful because of that. The Miz cashing in on Orton, Angry Miz Girl, the whole 9 yards, and Ziggler. Not because Ziggler won it, because Ziggler is World Heavyweight Champion. Hell, Dolph Ziggler, period, has been an absolute flop. But the pop that Ziggler got cashing that shit in.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that really stand out to me. I mean, Alexis was cool when she cashed in on Rousey, after Money, in the middle of Money in the Bank. When she beats Ronda, she beat the crap out of Nia with the briefcase and cashed in on Nia. And then subsequently lost the title to Ronda Rousey. I mean, that one was cool, but not like, oh, that was awesome. I mean, literally, those 5. Daniel Bryan's wasn't that cool. Neither one of Punk's. The other one of Edge's was kind of stupid.
Well, and my counter to that would be, again, what you're describing. We talk about, Royal Rumble matches that don't live up to snuff, or Intercontinental Championship matches that don't live up to snuff.
Okay.
You can. I feel like you could have this argument about anything, and
continue.
I guess my hangup is you get rid of Money in the Bank. What do you replace it with?
Who says you have to one? Who says you have to replace it with anything? 2, you're talking about, you can make the argument about, you can say the same thing about a Royal Rumble or a normal Intercontinental title match. The Royal Rumble isn't meant to be a spicy storyline. The Royal Rumble is a jumping off point to WrestleMania. It is point A to point B. Money in the Bank is an ongoing storyline. When is Seth Rollins going to cash this in? There are teases. Oh, is he going to cash it in? No, he's not. Oh, is he going to cash it? No, he's not. And then out of nowhere, he cashes it in at the most glorious time possible. When it's built the right way, it's exciting. When the payoff happens the right way, it's exciting. The problem is the payoff generally doesn't happen the right way. I mean, okay, completely out of nowhere, someone defends a title or retains it by disqualification. They're beaten half to hell. Cue the music. It's the same formulaic thing over and over again. Punk, Liv Morgan, hell, Ziggler's was the same. It was the same formula, except Ziggler's got a massive pop that almost deep fried the entire the roof of that damn arena, because that should have happened at Mania when he cashed it. He should have cashed in on Del Rio at Mania. But they waited one extra day. But it's literally the same thing. There's no... The only time I've seen in the last 5 years, I've seen somebody do something different with Money in the Bank is the second time The Miz cashed in when he paid Bobby Lashley to go beat the unholy dog shit out of McIntyre and then cash in on Mac. And then Bobby Lashley beat The Miz.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I guess I look at Money in the Bank when it's done right, and I keep using that caveat, as a jumping off point for somebody also.
Right. But how often is it done right? I thought of another one that was done right. When Orton cashed in on Daniel Bryan, because that started the whole authority. Because Triple H is in the ring as a special guest ref, pedigrees Daniel Bryan, Orton comes in. Boom. And that starts that. That's a jumping off point. So there's 6? No, actually, from as far as like jumping off points, Edge was a jump off point. Rollins was damn sure a jump off point. Orton's cash in was definitely one. No, Ziggler's wasn't, because Ziggler's title reign lasted a cup of coffee. I mean, so many. To me, it would matter more if 90% of these title reigns didn't turn into transitional champions. Nia, and here's the one that always pisses me off. Alexa cashed in on Nia Jax just to turn around and lose the title to Ronda Rousey, while Ronda was already in the ring and putting an armbar on Nia Jax when Alexa attacked and cashed in. Tell me how the shit that makes sense.
It doesn't.
Exactly. 90% of these title victories and title reigns don't do a whole lot. Example, a major example, Liv Morgan last year. Liv Morgan's women SmackDown title reign went over like a wet fart in church. It just did not fly. Nobody took it seriously. I mean, for fart's sake, they gave the damn briefcase to Otis, who then lost it in court to The Miz.
I don't have a counter for that one.
Huh?
I don't have a counter for that one.
And if you did, I would pity you. Because that means somehow on your vacation you would have had a whole lot of brain damage.
I mean, now I'm still sitting here thinking I'd like to keep it because it gives more people opportunity, because you can get 6 to 8 people in a Money in the Bank match, that normally aren't sniffing the main event, and be ever hopeful and stuff like that. So I think the solution is, and this is going to sound really surprising for long-term listeners and viewers of this show, Brian's calling for better creative. Why can't we take all of that energy that goes into making the Bloodline saga must-watch television, and why can't we have that go on down the card? Why do we have to limit ourselves to just putting all our eggs in that Bloodline basket, for example? And I know you don't hit home runs every time. There's no promotion out there that hits a home run in every storyline they have. But I would also say Money in the Bank is still one of the tent poles of your company. So you should be investing a lot of your energy and effort in making sure that comes off well more often than not.
May I?
Sure.
You really think that the writers and creative is what's really pushing the Bloodline storyline?
No, I
There are 5 cats in the ring that are pushing that. 4 of them are Samoan, and the other guy's name is Paul Heyman. Have to do it like Paul,
And I
otherwise.
still look at him as part of creative, though. I know he's an on-air talent and stuff like that, and I know he's out there, the straw that stirs the drink, but he is still as much a creative person as
Right.
he is an on-air personality.
Because that's just Paul Heyman being a god in the wrestling industry. He's not part of creative, to use air quotes here. And for everything that you just said sounds great on paper. But the fact of the matter is,
sounds great on paper.
Say what?
I said a lot of my stuff sounds great on paper.
Yeah, and this one is definitely one that, yeah, it's great. Yeah, let's put a lot more effort into everything else. I mentioned Gordon Ramsay earlier because I made that reference, but now I'm actually going to use him again, and it's going to make sense this time. Let's take the ingredients that make, and this is a reference to a joke you've made plenty of times in just our interactions of our friendship for the last decade. We have the ingredients of beef Wellington. If you put the ingredients of beef Wellington in front of the two of us, and in the same exact ingredients in front of Gordon Ramsay, how's this going to turn out? I think Gordon Ramsay's is going to taste like damn near heaven, and ours might taste like a yak's ass on fire in the ninth circle of hell. Hey.
Hold on a second. I'm going to Google a beef Wellington recipe.
Same ingredients. Everything's a level playing field, but it's the people involved.
Yeah.
Do you really think, let's move some pieces around. Do you really think the bloodline angle would be as good if, say, instead of Sammy and Kevin, we had another tag team, Ricochet and Braun Strowman? Would it be as good as
because Braun Strowman has the emotional depth of a teaspoon?
Would it be as good if we subbed out Sammy and Kevin for Alpha Academy?
No.
I mean, granted, yeah, Ricochet and Braun Strowman might have been a bad example. So let's get an entertaining tag team. Would it be as good with the Street Profits? No.
No.
You have to have the right. You not only have to have the right ingredients, but you have to put the ingredients in the hands of someone capable. And when you put the Money in the Bank briefcase into the hands of Baron Corbin, Damian Sandow, Austin Theory, Liv Morgan, Mr. Kennedy. Hell, they gave the briefcase to Kennedy and realized, you know what, this was a bad idea. Let's have Edge beat the shit out of him and take it from him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow. Let's put it in the hands of Otis. What the shit was Otis gonna do? Was Otis gonna give the briefcase to Mandy? We actually even thought that might happen on an episode of this show. I remember that because I brought that up, and RJ about lost his damn mind. Like, oh God, no. No, they did something much dumber. Much more dumb. That's my whole point with Money in the Bank. It's lost its mojo. It's jumped the shark. We've done everything that there is to do with it. There's nothing more from a creative aspect that we can do except rinse and repeat. And if this is going to be, using your words, if this is going to be a tentpole event, in the WWE calendar, rinse and repeat is a god awful idea. I mean, you can't say rinse and repeat on the Royal Rumble because there's literally the structure is as plain as it gets. Here's a battle royal. If you win it, you main event WrestleMania. And you take that person and you build from there. And the build is different every year. You know, just a couple of examples. You had the build of Nakamura winning the Rumble, and now we're going to have him face AJ because wrestling fans, not necessarily WWE fans, wrestling fans remembered that match at Wrestle Kingdom. Holy God. Cody wins last year. Finish the story. I mean, I'm sorry, he won this year. You know, Austin wins. Austin's going to fight The Rock. That writes itself. But hey, Damian Priest has won the briefcase. He at some point is going, he's already tried to do it. He's going to attempt to submarine Seth Rollins. Io Sky has done the same thing. At some point, we are going to get her trying to submarine Asuka. Please don't do that. Straight up look her in the eyes and call that shot saying, no, I'm going to cash it in here. And then you have multiple week build where those two chicks can stand in the middle of the ring and scream at each other in Japanese. That is all I want. I want a 4-week build of them screaming at something that they will be the only two people in that damn building that have any freaking clue what they're saying. That way, social
Well, there's
media.
2 other people that will. RJ will know what they're saying, and so will Kenny Omega.
Oh yeah, that's true. But they're not in the building though.
Right.
But to the point where WWE social media has to post that video with the subtitles, just like they did the last time they got into it with each other, which concluded with Io Sky saying "bitch" in English, and then they posted that shit in Japanese. I need that. And that is the only saving grace I can say about this year. Because if they do that, first off, the match will be absolutely electric.
Yes.
But I need that build. I don't need a sneak attack from Io Sky. I don't need tension between Io Sky and Bayley because we're already going to get tension between Balor and Damian Priest. I don't need the same rinse and repeat simultaneously. I don't need that. If you give me that, I'm probably going to stop watching. And I don't know what I'm going to do because AEW, as much as people want to say, oh my God, they're firing on all cylinders. Yeah, up here. Everything else down here is hot garbage. Don't get me started on the Franken Tag Team Tournament. You know why you don't get me started on the Franken Tag Team Tournament? Because we're talking about it next week.
I dare say, since I can't talk you off of that hill, I'm going to switch gears here.
I'm planting the flag, and this is not a hill I'm going to die on. You know why? Much like Gloria Gaynor and Cake, I will survive.
I think
Io
Sky has nothing to worry about as far as tension with Bayley because her handcuffing her to Becky Lynch and then climbing right over her back was a stroke of genius.
That was brilliant.
And it's just the looks on both of their faces while she was doing it because there was nothing they could do about it.
The look on Becky's face simply was like, well, crap. Shit. And here's the thing. When they're getting more creative with how someone wins than they are with what they're doing with the briefcase, you know you've jumped the shark. I mean, Nikki ASH a couple years ago, the briefcase swinging back and forth, and everybody's reaching for it and it passes. And then everybody's reaching for it and it passes. And then Nikki just climbs up the ladder while everybody's fighting amongst themselves and just boop. That was freaking awesome. And then she cashed it in the next night on Rhea and cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket. Her title reign, by the way, was about as eventful as Sam the Eagle reading Tolstoy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just don't want to see it go because you know me, I'm ever hopeful. I always tune in time after time and just see what's going to happen, and then it's kind of like watching WrestleMania year after you tune in and you see what's going to happen, and if you're left happy, that's fine, and if you're left upset, we'll wait for the next one. That kind of.
Can I give you a alternative as to something that might actually be a good replacement for Money in the Bank? King of the Ring.
Oh yeah.
We ain't done King of the Ring in a while. Let's go back. And let me rephrase that. We haven't earnestly done King of the Ring in a while. We put it on Xavier Woods and then we let Roman stomp on his crown because, bloodline.
Because
we haven't done that. And here's my thing. You brought up a point earlier. Money in the Bank is good because a lot of people get a main event spot. Okay, guess what? Let's do another battle royal. Same thing. People are going to get
if it's its own standalone thing like it used to be. Like I'm talking back in the day, like when, like 2000, 2001, when it was its own pay-per-view and all the matches took place that night. You don't get to see people wrestle 3 times in one night very much.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, like doing like the full-blown tournament in one night, not qualifying matches on Raw and SmackDown, and the next round and the next round, and literally you get the finals at the pay-per-view. No, I don't want that. I want the freaking tournament all night long.
Because the specific King of the Ring that I always remember is 2000. Because that showed me something about Rikishi that year. Rikishi was hurt the whole night. I don't know if he was kayfabe hurt or if he was actual hurt, but the fact that Kurt Angle wound up beating him in the final, as I recall. It was Kurt Angle versus Rikishi in the final, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right, yeah.
And every time Rikishi comes out, he's got more and more bandages on, and he's moving slower and slower and slower, but he's finding a way to muscle up and beat somebody, however it happened. And I go back a couple of years earlier to when The Rock turned heel, because I never saw that coming either, the way he was beating people, intercepting Boss Man's nightstick, and then...
That wasn't King of the Ring, though. That was Survivor Series.
Oh, that was Deadly Games. Sorry. That's not King of the Ring. Rock never won King of the Ring.
No. He was a finalist once. Who did he lose to?
Ken Shamrock.
Ding, 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 ding. What else happened that night?
Was that also Hell in a Cell? The Hell in a Cell? Was that in Pittsburgh? Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Ding, Brian gets a point.
Yeah. Makes up for the point that I lost by saying that, The Rock won King of the Ring. It's up to the Boss Man's nightstick. Hey, no, he didn't. Hayseed.
Nah.
But I actually do like that idea of bringing back King of the Ring and doing it justice, because you still get visibility for people. King of the Ring could be a great vehicle for somebody like Johnny Gargano. Could be a great vehicle for somebody like Tommaso Ciampa.
You know how I feel about King of the Ring. I think King of the Ring is an awesome thing, but King of the Ring only works if a bad guy wins it.
No, I know that. I get what I'm saying, but I'm talking about visibility. I'm not talking about Gargano wins the thing. I'm saying Gargano could, say you have like, I don't know how many people you want to have. You want to have 8 people, and that's 7 matches or whatever it is. And Gargano's in a lot of them. To reestablish him as, hey, this guy can go in the ring. It'd be a great vehicle, it'd be a great vehicle as an opening round match. And oh my God, Randy Orton's back. I'm not saying he's going to win the whole thing, but that'd be a great way as you have all the people but one announced, and you're going to face a mystery opponent tonight. And the person's pacing back and forth in the ring. I hear voices and oh crap, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And it would have to be somebody that that people are already booing the ever living crap out of, like Grayson Waller or Dom. Oh my God! You put Dom in a ring, in the first round, and you're facing a mystery opponent, and then voices plays, kaboom!
That'd be about the only thing that could keep mommy quiet at this point.
Jesus, man, that would be awesome. I hope at some point we see Orton back.
He needs to have one last run. I'm not saying give him the title or anything. There maybe
if he's actually even able to.
Yeah.
I don't care about one more run. I would just like to be able to. I just hope I get to see him one more time.
Yeah.
One RKO for the road, man.
Right.
Let him come out and RKO mommy.
So I'm glad that I was able to change your mind. The long and the short of it is I'm glad that I was able to get you to come back down off that hill, and you're gonna come over next weekend, and we're gonna do a Money in the Bank marathon. We're gonna queue them all up. We're gonna watch them from start to finish, and we're gonna celebrate the fact that I haven't accomplished a single frickin' thing here tonight.
This motherfucker for real? No,
you're bringing deviled eggs, right, man?
Did you hear the words that are coming out of his mouth?
I guess we'll just agree to disagree.
Like always.
No, we won't agree to disagree. You are failing. You are failing us all by disagreeing with me. Massively. You are an instructor of children. You have the minds of young people, and you are shaping them, and you are giving our listeners and our viewers this poppycock. This is a travesty and a sham and a mockery. It's a travesty and mockery. And you should be ashamed of yourself, Brian Aloysius Kriego.
Okay, Stephen A. You wanna calm it down there? It's called an opinion. I didn't say it was the right opinion. I'm just saying it's an opinion, and we're allowed to have the opinions from time to time.
So I won't put this person on camera, but over this way is my dear mother, who has been laughing at this for like the last 5 minutes. As my dear mother once told me, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and sometimes they stink.
Duly noted, mother.
God, I'm on a roll tonight.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll tonight, man. I missed you, buddy.
Missed you too.
He's like, why am I friends with this asshole?
Programming note. Tomorrow night, I think it's tomorrow night, semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup on AEW. Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. I mean, yeah, it would have been better 20 years ago, but lots of things would have been better 20 years ago. But
like my hairline.
You get this Joe and this Punk.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
A lot of things would have been better 20 years ago. Like, for example, my hairline. Pattern baldness is a bitch, boys and girls. So far gone, Rogaine can't even save my ass.
So do yourself a favor and watch that. Do yourself a favor and go back and check out the Ring of Honor stuff too, because that's
God.
where the legend was born.
That was one of my favorite feuds in like the golden era. And actually, no, the diamond era of Ring of Honor. Joe Punk for the ROH title. Whoo, boy. That is some grade A quality ass whooping right there. And it's absolutely beautiful. Let me ask you this question, and kind of circling back to our our conversation of the night. Let's exclude King of the Ring, and we're kicking Money in the Bank out.
Shedding a tear.
Yeah. What do you want to do? King of the Ring's not an option, and I get my way, and we're not doing Money in the Bank anymore.
See, you're putting me on the spot because if King of the Ring's not an option, I don't have a good alternative for it unless I keep going back to the idea of a tournament. You know, a tournament is about the only equitable way. You know, it's not just like I'm going to walk through the locker room and say, "Okay, you there, Chad Gable, guess what you just earned." Even though, I mean, we could do a lot worse than giving Chad Gable a shot at anything.
Amen.
But my point is, you know, a tournament's probably the only equitable way to get a set number of people in there with high visibility and have them understand, okay, you're working towards this prize. You know, and you can do it for the men and you can do it for the women because it's a way for the women to get TV time too.
I will see your tournament and I'll raise you. Because RJ hasn't been on this show in quite a long time. And around this time of year, when RJ was here, Brian would like to say this one particular letter a lot because New Japan does the G1 climax, or is Brian the G1 climax?
That G.
Because apparently when he's talking about New Japan, Brian has developed a stutter. We can totally do something like that. We can totally do something like Impact used to do the Bound for Glory series. A G1 style thing works because guess what you got? Raw and SmackDown. Block A, Block B. Oh my God, it's like it's set up to do this. You have your 6, 7 guys in Block A, and it's round robin, you know, on Raw. And you have your 6, 7, 8, however many guys in Block B, and it's round robin on SmackDown. And then they're going to face each other. And then that guy has the opportunity at the Rumble. Oh my God, that actually would work.
Or
I mean, it's a complete
way to make
rip-off of
Survivor
New
Series
Japan.
again. It's
Say
a way
what?
to make Survivor Series relevant again. If you do it in the summer, because you're gonna have a lot of stuff going on now. Now you've revitalized Survivor Series.
What if we're still doing War Games in Survivor Series though? That Survivor Series is saved if we're doing War Games, and you'll never talk me off that hill because War Games is God.
Yeah,
War Games.
I forgot about War Games.
War Games is the match that was given to us from the Lord. And sometimes when you're talking about the Lord giving us wrestling matches, instead of saying the Lord, you got to start talking about the Lord, because Dustin Rhodes was the one that gave us that. Praise be to the Most High, baby. But if you're not going to do War Games, then that makes perfect sense. But either way, I mean, okay, we're not going to have it at War Games. We can have it, you know, hey, you know what?
The Rumble makes
finishes at SummerSlam. And then you literally have, dude, it finishes at SummerSlam, and now you can use this build from SummerSlam to Rumble, and you can even include War Games in it.
Okay.
Because I'm throwing names out here. Ricochet wins the tournament at SummerSlam. And now Ricochet and the Usos are now in War Games with Roman and Solo and whoever Ricochet beat. And now you've got that for War Games, because not only is Ricochet having to deal with the guy having to deal with LA Knight because he beat LA Knight at the end of the tournament. Ricochet's got to deal with Roman, and Roman also has to deal with LA Knight because LA Knight wants the damn title too.
Yeah, fair point.
But there's one problem with that. WWE is more allergic to long-term storytelling than I am to stupid people. I'm really not allergic to stupid people, but I am allergic to penicillin. So there you go. They're more allergic to long-term storytelling than
Bloodline
any,
to the side.
huh?
Bloodline to the side.
Yeah.
Because the bloodline, even though it's wonderful and it's high theater, it's an anomaly.
Yeah, it as we have a saying down south, the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. And Bloodline, Firefly Funhouse. That's the last two times they did any kind of long-term storytelling that made sense. And no, I wasn't doing the whole that doesn't work for me, brother. I literally just had an itch on both sides.
Well, I will say that this episode has worked for me, brother. I enjoyed the repartee. I enjoyed the back and forth. I guess it just comes down to me wanting them to do better, with it, because we've reached the point of triteness where everybody's cashing in on the same night, and
if they're not cashing in on the same night, they're cashing in the same way.
Yeah.
And
it all becomes assembly line after a while. Like you said before, lather, rinse, repeat. Yeah.
And like, I like the fact that they put the briefcase on Priest. I like the fact that they put the briefcase on Io Sky. I would have liked it a little bit more if they would have put the men's briefcase on LA Knight, but hey, that's just me. But I got to be honest, even if LA Knight would have won it.
He wanted those points for the Wrestling with Egos League.
Yeah, that too. That too, yeah. But I could also I couldn't care less what they're going to do with Priest or Io. The only thing I care about is what I just alluded to earlier in the show, Io and Asuka yelling at each other in Japanese with subtitles. Hell, if we could get subtitles live on SmackDown, that would be glorious. Like
that's how you should end the show. Then it will just cut to footage of two people yelling at each other in Japanese and play the music. The two people yelling at each other in Japanese.
Yeah, we might catch some flack for that. We'll let WWE do that because yeah, copyrights. I might grab the wrong video and we get our shit shut down. Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay.
Trying to play it safe a little bit here. Brian and I are never going to agree on this. Brian, he likes his nostalgia. He likes keeping things like this, and quite honestly, all Money in the Bank needs to do right now is grab the little tow cable on the back of the boat, put on the water skis and a leather jacket, look into the camera and go, "Hey," and it's ready to jump the shark. I mean, that's, you know what? That's the name of the episode, Jumping the Shark. I mean, and I think it needs more than a little.
Called an episode Jumping the Shark before. You should probably call it Shark in the Bank.
Oh, even better.
I swear you've used Jumping the Shark before.
I probably have. Jumping in the Shark Part 2. Shark Harder.
Oh, jeez. Bank NATO.
My God. I could have so much fun with this. Jumping
Shark
the
Week coming
Shark Part
too.
2. Bank NATO. I like
Yeah.
that. We're going with that. Part 2. Bank NATO. Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Sure.
I love it when a plan comes together, man. You know what else I love? I love the fact that we can completely argue with each other about stuff like this, have an absolute blast doing it. And meanwhile, I know that 15 minutes down the road, north of where I'm at right now, there's a guy in his basement with his arms folded, smiling at the camera that he's staring at and thinking, you know, I don't want to admit it, but that loud pain in the ass is right.
Yikes.
In all seriousness, we'd love to know what you think. Am I right? Do I need to shut the hell up? Is Brian the voice of reason like he mostly is, except on the times that I'm very, very, very right, like right now? Why don't you guys drop a comment below? Let us know what you think is right. You know, hey, you know what? Even better, thumbs up if I'm right, thumbs down if Brian's right. Because, you know, if you're going to thumbs down, then, you know.
I mean, then this episode gets like 5,000 dislikes, and that doesn't help the algorithm.
And that's your fault.
Oh, not my fault, because I didn't put the stipulation out there.
Oh, but you know what? If we get 5,000 dislikes, that just means that you didn't make your points clear enough. And people are siding with you because you're failing to educate. Failing to educate. Much like
Any other bon mot before we sign off for the evening?
Yeah. Because if you have failed our audience, then you are no better than Marsha Hardin and Christopher Darden, who failed to convict OJ. Failed. I was waiting to see if you'd say something on that one. Because as I'm making that point, I'm like, that's a hell of a reach there, Pat. That's a hell of a reach.
Oh, it's always good to know where you stand.
I'm not standing. I'm sitting. See, big red comfy chair.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, and I think you can pick up on that.
Oh, I totally am. But you also know that I may not necessarily stand there. I'm also just talking out of my ass, trying to make some entertaining content and be a complete dipshit.
Mission accomplished.